Welcome to Echoes of the Mekong, the dawn of Khmer civilization. In this audiobook, we journey back in time, long before the iconic stone faces of Bayon and the majestic towers of Angkor Wat dominated the horizon. We travel to an era of burgeoning empires, vibrant maritime trade, and profound cultural exchange. This is the story of the foundational kingdoms of the Khmer people, a narrative pieced together from ancient Chinese chronicles, stunning archaeological discoveries, and the enduring threads of local legend. Our odyssey begins not with a king or a kingdom, but with the very land itself and the people who first called it home. Chapter 1. The Genesis of a Kingdom, before Funan. For millennia, the Mekong Delta and the lands surrounding the great Tonle Sap Lake were a patchwork of Neolithic communities. People speaking early Mon-Khmer languages lived in small, self-sufficient groups. They were skilled farmers who had begun to cultivate rice, fishers who read the rhythms of the mighty rivers, and hunter-gatherers who knew the secrets of the dense tropical forests. They lived in villages, often of houses raised on stilts, a timeless adaptation to the monsoonal floods. Their spiritual world was rich, filled with reverence for the spirits of the water, the soil, and the ancestors who lay buried in their lands. They were not yet a kingdom, but a mosaic of chiefdoms and villages, each with its own local traditions and leaders. By the final centuries BCE, a momentous change began to stir. The world was shrinking. Great maritime trade routes were connecting the empires of Rome and Han China, and the Mekong Delta sat directly upon this vital artery of commerce. Ships from India and the Malay Peninsula began to hug the coastline, seeking shelter and trade. This brought not just goods, but new people, new technologies, and radical new ideas to the shores of Southeast Asia. Archaeological evidence shows the rise of larger, moated settlements during this period. Local chieftains grew more powerful, controlling strategic river ports and organizing communities to produce surplus goods for trade. They were on the cusp of statehood, their societies becoming more complex and stratified. It was into this fertile, dynamic environment that the catalyst for empire would arrive. How does a collection of chiefdoms become a kingdom? The answer, as told by legend, is found in a union of two worlds. The story, recorded by a Chinese envoy in the 3rd century, speaks of an Indian Brahmin named Kamdinya. Guided by a dream, he sailed to the coast of the Mekong Delta. There, he was met by Soma, a warrior princess who ruled the local Naga people, a term often used to describe indigenous peoples revered as semi-divine beings of the water. Princess Soma came out in a boat to confront the intruder. Kamdinya, using a sacred bow, shot a magic arrow that subdued her. He then married her, and their union gave birth to the first royal dynasty of Funan. This is more than a simple folktale. It is a powerful political allegory. Soma represents the strong indigenous culture and leadership, deeply connected to the land and its spiritual power. Kamdinya represents the arrival of Indian culture, organized religion in the form of Hinduism, the political ideology of kingship or Raja Dharma, the Sanskrit language as a tool of statecraft, and advanced knowledge of shipbuilding and international trade. Their marriage was not a conquest, but a fusion. A local ruling class merged with foreign elites and their potent ideas to create something new and powerful. A centralized state, a kingdom capable of dominating the region and controlling the immense wealth flowing through its ports. Thus, Funan was born. Chapter 2: The Maritime Masters of Funan, a Culture of Water and Trade. From its birth in the 1st century CE, the kingdom of Funan flourished. Its heart was the Mekong Delta, a watery world its people mastered. Chinese records describe them in vivid detail. They had dark skin and curly hair, living in stilt houses clustered along an intricate network of canals that served as irrigation channels, streets, and highways. Their clothing was simple cloth wrappings, a form of the sampat, and they went barefoot. Society was clearly stratified. While the majority were rice farmers and fishers, a sophisticated court and a wealthy class of merchants held sway. Taxes paid to the king in gold, silver, pearls, and perfumes funded the state and its formidable navy. The nexus of this maritime empire was its magnificent port city, Ok-Ao. Here, in a vibrant melting pot, Roman gold medallions, Persian glass beads, and artifacts from Han Dynasty China have been unearthed, revealing a cosmopolitan hub. Local artisans crafted exquisite jewelry and carved seals bearing figures from Hindu mythology like Vishnu, but with a distinct local aesthetic that marked the beginnings of Khmer art. Belief systems became a syncretic blend. The elite embraced Hinduism and later Buddhism, while the general populace continued to revere local spirits of the land and water known as Naik Ta. For the people of Funan, there was no contradiction in offering prayers to both Vishnu and the spirit of a particular rice paddy. They were all forces governing their lives. Chapter 3: The Rise of Chenla, a Culture of the Land. By the 6th century, Funan's maritime power waned. A new power was stirring in the north: Chenla. The transition from Funan to Chenla marked a fundamental shift from the coast to the great inland sea, the Tonle Sap. Under leaders like Yasovarman I, who established his capital at Sambor Prei Kuk, a new cultural identity began to solidify. Here, Khmer artisans perfected the art of brick construction, creating magnificent, often octagonal temple towers. They adorned the lintels and columns with intricate sandstone carvings, giving us a glimpse into their rich cosmological world. Perhaps the most significant cultural development of the Chenla period was the emergence of the written Khmer language. For the first time, stone steles were inscribed not just in formal Sanskrit, but in Old Khmer. These inscriptions recorded land titles, religious donations, and the names of everyday people. Suddenly, the anonymous people of the chronicles had a voice. We hear their words and see their society through their own language. This was a profound assertion of a unique Khmer identity. Life in Chenla was defined by the land and the monsoon cycle, ruled by a god-king whose authority was connected to the sacred earth. Chapter 4: Division, Decline, and the Dawn of a New Era. This golden age of a unified Chenla proved fleeting. After the death of its last powerful monarch, Jayavarman I, around 681 CE, the kingdom fractured into a land Chenla and a water Chenla. This division created instability, leaving the Khmer vulnerable to raids from the powerful Shailendra dynasty of Java. Yet, it was from this period of chaos that a figure of destiny would emerge: a Khmer prince named Jayavarman II. Returning from Java around 790 CE, he embarked on a campaign of unification. His ambition culminated in a momentous event in the year 802 CE. On the sacred heights of Ponam Kulen, Jayavarman II declared himself a Chakravartin, a universal monarch. He established the Devaraja cult as the supreme state ritual, a powerful act that unified the lands under the authority of a single divine king and marked the definitive birth of the Khmer Empire. Though often overshadowed by their mighty successor, the kingdoms of Funan and Chenla were not mere prologues. They were the crucible in which Khmer civilization was forged. From the ancient villages of the Mekong arose Funan, a cosmopolitan trader that opened the Khmer people to the world. Chenla took these influences and made them its own, building a culture centered on the fertile land and giving voice to its identity. They built the cities, established the religious traditions, and honed the principles of governance that would make the glories of Angkor possible. Their stories are the deep and powerful roots from which the magnificent banyan tree of Khmer history grew.